Everybody knows that your health is your wealth, as we live in a world of abundance. So, if you don't focus on you and really focus on who you are, there's not too much point to living a long time. And I think we're all going to live well past 100 with the way science and technology is going now. So, you become the most important thing. And if you focus on yourself, it helps you help other people a lot easier.
Welcome to the Extraordinary Show. I'm your host, Forbes Shannon, with me as always.
Christine Butler.
And today we have an awesome guest streaming all the way in from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. This guest, he focuses on blending street smart business with longevity and wellness to focus on the most important asset, you, Dean Donlon. Dean, thanks for being here.
Thanks so
Hey,
much.
thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm happy to be here.
You are definitely extraordinary. I've heard a lot about you from Aaron. Aaron nominated you. So how do you know Aaron Bear?
I met Aaron through Damon, and it was probably about 2 years ago now, and we just got along great. He's extraordinary for sure. He's just been great. We got to spend some time together, and then nowadays we're both so busy we don't get to talk too much. And he just sent me a text saying, "Fill this out, get on this show." And if Aaron suggests something, I figure it's got to be a fun time.
Yeah. Fun is attached to Aaron for sure.
That's his only rule, have
Yeah.
fun. And that's our only rule here at Extraordinary is to have fun. And Dean, you have a lot of fun. How'd you get into longevity and wellness? I know you got a couple different companies that you're working on, but I understand that that's what you're focused on now. What does it mean when you say the most important asset is you?
Well, nowadays, I think everybody knows that your health is your wealth, as we live in a world of abundance. So, if you don't focus on you and really focus on who you are, there's not too much point to living a long time. And I think we're all going to live well past 100 with the way science and technology is going now. So, you become the most important thing. And if you focus on yourself, it helps you help other people a lot easier. And so I figure, if you can help bring out the best in each person, it's going to make the world a better place in general.
I love that.
Right on. And you specialize in entrepreneurs, is that right?
For the most part, I work with a lot of the Shark Tank entrepreneurs from the last few seasons, working with Damon, help kind of manage some of the workflows and kind of be their point of contact. And I just love the small business stuff, helping people kind of solve their solutions. And I look at that as like the wellness of their business. If you help somebody in their business, then they can help themselves in their life. So even helping entrepreneurs plays into focusing on your own personal health and wellness, longevity.
Well, it's taxing on the body of
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, I'd imagine. Do they
Yeah.
have like some unique things that you've seen as it relates to longevity?
Um, I would say as an entrepreneur, the best thing to do is have time to yourself, meditate. That way you can kind of stay focused. Because if you take 10 minutes to yourself in the morning, then you can be throwing anything throughout the day. As an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, you never really get to plan what the day is going to be because you have a schedule, and all of a sudden by 8 o'clock, that schedule's changed because you got fires to put out and
Yeah.
like, you never know where it's going to
Yeah.
go. We've had entrepreneurs who are fantastic entrepreneurs, really healthy, and due to all the stress and stuff, they end up getting, cancer scares or have to go
Yeah.
through a lot of health problems and stuff. So it really shows that no matter how much you focus on your business, if you don't focus on yourself, what's the purpose of building a business if you're going to get sick and not be able to enjoy it?
Right. Right. And what's the ratio, do you think, business and personal life, that is a healthy balance?
Good question.
I think that's to each individual. For me, I
Yeah.
love business. So for me, it's like 95% business, 5% personal life, and take a few minutes
Yeah.
first thing in the morning, and that's about it. Yeah. Other people,
Well,
it
when
might
you
be more
love
of an
what you
80/20.
do, 80/20.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I have this belief that if when you love what you do, it doesn't even feel like work, right?
exactly. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
hard to split it
So,
out when it's 100% is enjoyable.
right, right. That's a good way to look at it. Now, you obviously have a ton of success. Now, what do you attribute your success to? Do you find
Mm.
it more, was it like in your personal life, or was it the times that you focused on business? Like where is it more successful?
I would say finding the right people to have in your life, whether it's personal life or business, finding the right partners in your life. Like, I luckily have a fantastic woman in my life, so she supports me when I'm down. I have some
Yeah.
amazing business partners that have been friends of mine for a long time and, give me a lot of support. So I think it's the people around you that allow you to focus on yourself.
Yeah.
100%. And that's what we're building here at
That's exactly it.
Extraordinary is a collection of extraordinary people so that you can find other extraordinary people around the country and around the world. I'm curious, how'd you get into longevity and wellness? How did that become your passion?
My background, my first corporate job was at a company called bodybuilding.com when they were on the top of their game. So I worked there for about 10 years, worked in marketing, and was just involved in a lot of, involved in the industry with bodybuilding, sports nutrition, all that. So as things kind of evolved, you get into just naturally, where the industry goes. And longevity sounds great because why wouldn't we all want to live longer? The world's getting
Right?
better every day, and it's a great time to live past 100, I think.
Yeah. Well, banking on 150, so
Well, I think that's also matters the quality that happens
yeah.
after 100. Is that something that you help a lot of your clients with is prepared for the quality of life, not just a longer one?
Yeah, that's a really good point too, is why live long if your life's not enjoyable? If you're in pain, if you're stressed out all the time, why do you want to live past 100, just stick to the 90s and you'll be good. But
Yeah. Cap it at
yeah,
90.
so I think it's nowadays the technology and biohacking and everything, all the education is out there. So what we focus on is making sure that you're just always open-minded to learning because a lot of the stuff we hear today may shift as we go. There's a lot of new modalities, science coming out, and things change as we learn more about it. Like some stuff we try today, we might find out isn't giving us the benefits that we should have in the long run. So I think it's
Mhm.
just being open-minded to continually learning, and that's where I get excited about longevity is because all the new stuff coming out, anything from cold plunges to red light beds. And now I think where you're seeing you can focus on that healthy past 100 is doing epigenetics tests. They're affordable for most people now. Blood tests are getting really easy. You have companies like Rhythm where you can just do a blood test on your arm for $80 a month and you can check your blood work. It's not obviously a full panel, but it gives you all the important things. And there's a lot of little tools now that have become affordable for anybody to be able to use to kind of have that better life as they go. The four pillars I would say are the most important. Obviously, we know sleep, nutrition, and exercise. That's never changed. But the fourth one I add to that now is posture, because no matter what you do, no matter what supplement you take, anything like that, anytime you say posture, that's you got to posture up. Um, but I met this gentleman named Posture Guy Mike, and we were talking once, and he made a very good point. He's like, it doesn't matter how many cold plunges you do, if your posture's off and you're in pain, none of these other things are going to help you. So even if you optimize your brain health and everything, if your posture's off and you're constantly in pain, which a lot of us are on our phone all day, on our
Yeah.
computer. So being able to take the time in the morning to like reset your posture and stuff, I've added that into like the core of that's what's going to make you live a happy life after 100.
Yeah, and I imagine that kids are gonna be a lot more healthy than we are, right? Like, as generations keep being brought up, we're being introduced to more science and more, ways to democratize health. So, like, what advice would you give a child who's being brought up on phones and looking down all the time, and they're not outside running the way we used to be, you know? So, what advice would you give to a child?
That would be my advice is put the phone down and get outside. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do
yeah,
see like
absolutely.
with in terms of youth health, look at for the first time ever, alcohol sales are going down in the country because younger people aren't drinking, even if they're, in their 20s and can legally drink, they're not drinking. People aren't drinking
Mhm,
underage like they used to. And I
mhm.
don't know if that's because they saw their parents drink and they know how bad alcohol is for them now, but even little things like that, I think are really amazing to see and are gonna help the youth kind of be that next level. But the cell phones are a scary thing. I see kids all the time, 12 hours a day, their back is in a C shape and they're just sitting there all
Yeah,
day playing on their phone. I think the social aspect of being on the phone is gonna be be a big challenge. If you look at blue zones, a part of living a long, healthy life is socializing, and the phones
Hmm.
are taking that away from people. So I think there's some stuff that we are going to have to work on with kids and hopefully find a solution to encourage them to get off the phones because it's addicting. I know influencers who they have a false reality when they're not on their phone because their phone becomes their reality now.
Right.
Their phone becomes their reality, and that's something we talk. It's a red thread in all the podcasts we've done here at Extraordinary is that um, while these technology advancements and the exponential emerging technologies that we have so many good things, there seems to be this kind of less humanness that comes along with them. Like, is it possible? Like, how would you suggest for our listeners that they could be more human, or what does that look like to you?
A good one would be getting out and socializing. That's a big part of being human in my mind is just, getting to learn what other people have to say and having that energy. We're all energy based. I think we all have learned enough now that we know that. And being able to share that energy with other people is a great way to become human.
Mm, mhm. Now you talked about sleep earlier, and sleep and entrepreneurs are notorious to not go hand in hand. How do you help entrepreneurs sleep?
I don't have an answer to that one. I don't sleep enough. I try, but that's when you're on the plane all the time, everything. So that's a challenge. And but I do think it's also now we have education about how light affects your melatonin production. So it's just starting to get those habits where, okay, cool. After, if you have to be on your phone because of business related stuff, wear some blue light blocking glasses, use the red light on your phone instead of the bright lights. So there's little things coming out now that help, but I don't really have an answer for that because if you're an entrepreneur, sleep doesn't usually fit.
Right. The sleep is hard for anyone who has their mind constantly full of thoughts and ideas. And I know entrepreneurs have nothing but that. Right. And so do you find talking about certain things like your lack of sleep or maybe working out, being on your phone, like talking about these things out in the public, do you think
Mm,
it helps you embody what you're saying more?
mm,
Um, that's a really, really loaded question. I'd like to say yes, but at the same time, then it usually just makes me realize, like, the
Yeah.
practice what you preach thing is a challenge when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, but you're trying to promote health and wellness and stuff. So I would say talking about it makes you start to realize it internally more.
Hmm.
So especially
mm.
the phone thing. People say, "Oh, I don't allow my kids on the phone." Yeah, but what kind of example are you setting when you're on your phone till 11 o'clock at night? Your phone's in your bedroom. So, an easy thing I have is I don't allow the phone in the bedroom.
Oh, I
Mm,
love that. So where do you put your phone? Where do you charge it?
mm.
Out in the kitchen.
Okay, so
Nice.
far away. Is there
Yeah.
science behind that?
No, that's just a personal thing that as long as it's not near me, when I wake up and roll over, I can't just ping it. I don't hear it
Right.
vibrate. I
Mhm.
have the ringer on, so if something happens with an emergency, you can get me. But text messages, alerts, everything gets silenced from 9 p.m. till 5 a.m. And hopefully, I can at least get 6 hours of sleep in that little gap there.
There you go. And something that you just said reminds me of a habit I started doing, and I don't have any science behind it. It was just for peace of mind. Is a couple of days a week for an hour during the day when I don't have any meetings, I leave my phone literally at home and I
Mm.
walk to a coffee shop to go write and journal. And the first few times I did it, my brain was tricking me into thinking that I was missing a meeting, even though I checked my calendar before I left and I know I didn't have one. But it just was like giving me this panic that I need to check my phone. I need to check my phone. And then the funny thing is, when I came home, I was like, I bet I have a dozen missed calls and 40 new texts. Not a single person hit me up
Yeah,
while I was gone. So
yeah.
I think what you're talking about is unplugging. Like, how important is unplugging for people that are always high performance?
I think it's one of the most important things you have to do.
Mm,
Keeps you
Spec-
grounded, right?
Yeah. And nowadays, I mean, we had this thing with COVID where you went into everything was on Zoom. Now with
Mm,
technology and AI, that was great, but I think people are getting back to let's have in-person meetings, and that's a great way to unplug because it's a lot harder to be disrespectful and check your phone when you're face to face. So you put
yeah,
your phone
true.
down in a meeting, and most people now that I work with, if they see you checking your phone all the time, it's kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to work with this guy because he can't even pay
Mhm.
attention to what we're talking about.
Mm,
Mhm. You know, one thing I see as a former educator is that I'm noticing people aren't giving me eye contact anymore. I think that's a dying art.
that's interesting.
And you meet a ton of people. Would you say
Yep,
that you agree with that?
100%. Eye contact is huge. I focus on eye contact all the time. It's the best way to listen if you're looking at other things. There's a lot of I think there was a study that came out that was it said we in one day we process as much information as 50 years ago they would process in a month.
Mhm.
So we
And
get so
imagine
much stuff thrown at us. You just
yeah, like,
That's insane to
imagine
think about.
a child with ChatGPT.
Our brains weren't meant to process this much. We still have the 10,000-year-old brain that all of our ancestors have had. Um, Dean, I'm curious because you live at the intersection of longevity, but also street smart business. What is street smart business?
um I did go to college and everything, but most of the things you learn that you apply to business, they don't teach you in school. So um yeah, I guess that would be the biggest thing is you just learn through experience. I've had multiple failures in companies. I've launched when I was 20 years old, we launched a fight company. I had a bunch of friends that were great fighters. You don't know what you're getting into and you fail at a lot of things to learn how to not fail in the future. So I would say that would be more of the benefit than, a proper education, reading a book and you're not as flexible. So if you have the street smarts, like I've even learned it from Damon and stuff, those street smarts are what help you adapt and flow as an entrepreneur. Because if you're trying to stick to the book, nothing they teach you in college is really going to be how your day is going to be. You don't get to structure meetings the right way. You got to be very adaptable and fail fast and be okay with failure.
Be okay with
Mm,
failure.
hmm So, with that mentality of being able to fail fast, plus in your space, there's like a new answer to the longevity question every day. How do those attitudes go hand in hand?
Um, yeah, that's an interesting question. I think because the way we can share education now, because of social media and everything, that as long as you're staying up on it, you can learn fast enough. Like, okay, well, this study's outdated, and you can get online and you can actually look at the pros and cons of each side. You can really open up. So it gives you the ability to get all the education a lot faster than it used to. So you can make the decision to move on to the next thing a little bit quicker. Of course, we all hold on to things a little bit longer than we should when we especially if it's our baby and our business. But I think with the longevity stuff, we're learning everybody that get to have the privilege of talking to just kind of, they share their experience with stuff. And luckily, there's a lot of us out here who are our own test dummies. People give us lots of supplements, that stuff. It makes you feel good. You're like, all right, cool. And other times you get something, you're like, that didn't work for me. And so I think it's just kind of the ability to get information so fast allows you to change your diet and everything's getting more affordable now. You don't have to go drop 1,300 bucks to get a full plant panel blood test. 1,000 bucks a year, you can get monthly blood tests now. So I think that gives us the ability to shift and fail fast, I guess.
Mm, hmm So, what are some shifts? Every new year, everyone's got a whole new agenda, right? Like it seems like everybody's New Year's resolutions is they're just going to be a totally new person in the next year. What are some? This is kind of a two-part question. Do you see that trend in in your longevity space with your clients? And next, what are some shifts you're looking forward to, or our listeners can look forward to in 2026?
Um, yeah, I mean, of course, everybody's new year, new you is always the thing. And I think, well, it depends on what your vices are and your habits are. The number one thing for most people is just stop drinking, stop smoking, whatever those vices are that aren't really serving you. And then the other one would be nowadays we have so much access to information about food, learning what your body needs. Those would be the probably the first ones. And then right now in the longevity space, I think the most exciting thing that everybody can keep their eyes on is all the epigenetics tests coming out to help you actually know what you're genetically inclined to be like. We have red light beds, cold plunges, all these new things coming out.
Mhm.
Well, some people genetically shouldn't be in a red light bed, shouldn't have green light or blue light. Some people genetically shouldn't get into a cold plunge, depending on if you have any vascular issues, getting in a cold plunge is the opposite of what you should do. But I think, we also get lost and people spend money on all these modalities. They open up a small wellness center and they think they're helping everybody else because it helped them. But when you go into a wellness center, if they only have a cold plunge and a red light bed, what are they selling you? A cold
Right.
plunge and a red light bed. And they're not asking you what you need. They're not checking out your genetics test. They're not checking out your blood work and being like, well, what do you need? And I'm seeing a shift now. There's a company in Boca Raton, Florida called Protocol 4, and they took the liberty of buying all the best machines they could find, and they don't just throw you into a machine. They do your epigenetics test, they check your blood work, and they find out about you, and then they help you build a plan that kind of works for you. So I think that's the exciting thing coming out this year is genetically we're going to be able to modify diets that are going to work for
Mhm.
each individual instead of being like, oh, just take this supplement and take 3 capsules of it every day and you'll change your life. Well, if you already have good vitamin D, everybody tells you to take vitamin D and all these things, and you don't even check your blood work. So I think that's kind of the exciting thing is you get to learn about you as the individual and start customizing how you change your habits that actually work for you instead of just a broad scope of, oh, this worked for me, this will work for everybody.
Well, let's focus on you, the individual. I'm curious what your most impactful habits are to get to such an extraordinary position with the network you have and the people that you're working with and the things that you've been able to accomplish in your career. What were those habits that really you could credit to bringing you this extraordinary success?
I could start with a few habits I dropped, and that would be
Okay.
drinking way too much beer all day, every day. I used to be about 205 pounds. I looked like I had an air hose plugged in my ear, and I was just, poop. I was inflamed. So that was one habit I quit that I think really helped kind of lead into making better habits and better choices and stuff. And that's like even some of these modalities that they may not work fully, but if you invest in a modality, I'm a big believer in the placebo effect. So if you take one step that
Mhm.
Mm,
you think is helping you get healthy, it helps you change those decisions throughout the day. So really the biggest thing I changed is how you set your morning.
How you set
And
your
instead of
morning.
jumping
mm.
straight into coffee, I drink some salt water and try to get my body kind of alive before I hammer it with caffeine and coffee. And then the
That's
other
where I'm
secret
bad
is if
at.
you need energy. Oh, go ahead.
No, I said, "Tell me, because I need to know."
We're listening. We're on pins and needles here. Yeah, tell us the
I'm a
power of
big
morning.
fan of, butter in your coffee. The butter and MCT oil, the bulletproof style
I
coffee.
heard about that. I'm
Mm,
scared to try
okay.
You
that
haven't tried
too.
Butter,
it? It's so
MCT, and
good. It's so good.
it's
Is it?
yeah. And what are the benefits? Why do you do it?
I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so I'm not gonna jump too much into that, but I believe the MCT oil and stuff helps with, the blood-brain barrier, and it'll give you a longer, slow energy from my understanding, but I could be completely
Mm.
just making that shit up.
Hey, but that's the placebo effect, right?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm big on that too.
yeah.
It's all a mindset.
Mm.
And speaking of mindset, what's your favorite mindset that gets you through all of the
The peaks and valleys of
yeah, the
entrepreneurship and
shit?
business. Yeah.
I would say I usually revert back to a saying that Charlie Munger said about having very low expectations or no expectations. Then you avoid the anxiety of people aren't doing what they say. And that's not a way to be lazy and say you don't expect, business to happen. But if you have low expectations and your expectation that is everybody on your team or yourself or you personally, the expectation should just be you're going to do the best you can do.
Right, right.
Mm.
Not to have an attachment to the outcome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good way to
like
say it
that,
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we always ask everybody that comes on the show, you know, an extraordinary piece of advice from Dean on how our listeners can be a little bit more extraordinary. What wisdom do you have to impart?
Um, let's see. Well, I mean, we just talked about all of that stuff, right? You can take 10 minutes of meditation,
Yep.
have low expectations. Um, I would say just believe in other people.
Mm,
Believe in
Believe in
yourself,
other
of course,
people.
you got to make sure that you're the core, but a good way to let yourself kind of grow is believe in other people.
How
and
do you choose the people that you should believe in?
Oh,
mm.
now we're gonna now we're gonna get complicated, huh? Um, I think, that would go back to the New Year's kind of resolution thing. Every year, I think it's good to just do a check on who's in your life, and sometimes you gotta write people off. Could be loved ones,
Yep.
family, good friends, but if people aren't serving you, and you find a lot of people that were your friends for a long time, when you really sit down and look at, like, what's this relationship? A lot of times you find, like, it's a take, 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 take relationship, and those are good ones too. Just no hard feelings, but you gotta cut them off. So at the beginning of
Yeah.
every year, go through your list and find 5 to 10 people that just aren't serving you, and you let them go. And that opens
Mm,
up
Step
the
on the
doors for
chopping
other
block.
people to come into your life.
for sure. Right. And you are a makeup of the people you're around. What's interesting is the way you frame that up about looking at people who take, that tells me that you are a person that focuses on giving first. Is that right?
Yeah, I like to give a lot. I give a lot of my time and everything up front, and I also believe that you gotta get to know people first before you ever ask anybody for anything. Go out to dinners, get to know someone, and the more you give, the more you gotta be open to receiving, and being giving will open up more doors than if you just take from everybody.
Yeah.
Mm. Open to receiving. That's another good point on the mindset. Have you always been open to receiving what other people were willing to give you? Or is that something that you had to build in your career?
That's a practice, especially for
Yeah.
anybody who is truly a giver. It's always a challenge to receive because you feel you gotta be giving and giving. So it's just been in the last few years that, really opened up that belief that, hey, if somebody's going to give you something, you gotta be open to receiving it.
Mm,
Yeah. I struggle with receiving compliments, right?
mm,
That
mhm,
that for me, that's a really hard one.
mm.
I can give them all day.
Yeah, sure. I'd have no problem receiving compliments.
Yeah, he really doesn't. He
um,
needs them.
how
Yeah.
did yeah, I thrive off them. How do you build that practice? How do you practice that?
I was lucky enough that my fiance had been practicing the law of attraction and a bunch of these things from her past life that she kind of got rid of all of her friends and she had to start her whole life over again. And
Mhm.
she kind of taught me a lot of these things. Her and her brother's a child therapist, and talking through them and finding just the right books to listen to. There's a lot of books out there now that they all have the same message, but they can relate to you differently. There's The Science of Getting Rich, Happy Pocket Full of Money, and the premise is never focused on the money. It's just when you open up, if you're giving and giving and giving and you don't receive, that's the reason you don't get any money or get the opportunities you need. So I think that you making money is important. We all know that. But that shouldn't be your first thing. Like if you have an opportunity, where's the value you add? What's the value of that opportunity? And then number three, like, are you making money on it?
Mm,
Mhm.
I love that methodology. Yeah. What's the value add? What's the value of the opportunity? And then are you making money on it? So, uh, what is next in your extraordinary journey, Dean?
Hopefully this year we're going to really learn a lot about longevity. I think we're gonna hopefully see a lot of the um I would say, I guess the shysters in the industry will be weeded out. And I think that the next step for me would be we're working on launching these wellness pop ups. And the premise is going to be to educate people on the modalities, red light beds, cold plunges, instead of pushing them into trying it, educating them on the difference from this red light bed to that red light bed. We don't really do any exclusivities with a lot of companies. We just try to be very open. And if you're a good founder and a good product, we're going to try to find a way to help promote you, even if we have someone who has a very similar product and is still a very, very good person. And I think in the longevity space, we're going to see a lot of the people who have the integrity and focus on the individual instead of themselves, focus on helping people. I think that's where the next step is going to be, is seeing how we can really expand helping others heal, because if you help them heal, then they're going to help more people, and we see kind of the effect spread, you know?
Mhm.
The network effect. And that's super interesting that you took the education approach first. Like, what was the thought behind that?
I'm not a doctor or a scientist, so just the more you get to learn about it, I'm lucky enough I have lots of friends who are doctors, chiropractors, experts, but I'm not, so just do your best.
Do your best. I love it.
I love it. Very cool. You can read more about Dean Donlon at joinextraordinary.com. That's JOINEXTRAORDINARY. Dean, thank you so much for your time today. This was an awesome interview. I learned so much about just the different ways I should be thinking about longevity, not for, just doing what worked for somebody else. And also, I should stop giving advice is kind of the other thing I learned from this, because just because it worked for me does not mean it's going to work.
Right. Well,
Well,
I
you should
got drink butter.
share your experience, but that might not be the same for someone else. So
Yeah.
it's different,
Mhm.
don't give advice, but share your experience and say, "Hey, this is what worked for me." And it's worth other people trying, but when you give advice, then then they get stuck on like, "Oh, well, Forbes told me this was going to work and it didn't work." Or if you say, "Hey, it worked for me," then it gives you the out. If it doesn't work for them, they're not blaming it on you.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
See, Dean, that's that street smart
That's
business
a
right
street smart
there.
right
There
Yeah,
there.
you go.
right.
Yeah, that's the experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That
on
I'm
the
gonna sit up
coffee
straighter
thing
on these
Yeah,
tomorrow,
points.
sit
when
straight.
when you get up tomorrow, get a good quality coffee that doesn't have mold or anything. There's plenty of good ones out there. Make yourself some black coffee, put a nice fat piece of butter in there, put a bunch of MCT oil in there, get a frother and whip it really good, and you'll get a nice little buttery coating on the top. And let me know what you think.
We
Okay.
will.
All
We'll
right.
try it
We
together
definitely
tomorrow
will.
morning.
Sounds good. Dean, thank you so much. As always, I'm Forbes Shannon,
Christine Butler.
and we will see you next time on Extraordinary.
Bye,
Guys, it
guys.
was a pleasure. Thank you.